Hello everyone, this is Mohan Kumar, and today I shall be presenting the shell pattern we see in some of the molluscan forms, namely Unio, Pila, Austria, Cypria, Murex, Nautilus and Dentalium. So our first specimen is shell of Unio, and it belongs to class Pelecypoda or Bivalvia as they have two valves in their shell. So the soft body of Unio is completely enclosed by a hard calcareous shell. Shell is composed of two symmetrical and equal halves and they are called as valves and known as right and left valves. The two valves are united by a dorsal elastic band called as hinge ligament as we see here, which is continuous with the two shell valves but is made up of an uncalcified conchiolin. It is elastic and causes the valves of the shell to open. Near the hinge ligament are teeth and sockets which fit into each other to form an efficient interlocking arrangement. This would prevent a fore and aft displacement of the two shell valves. That is, if the valves, when they open up and close, they have to close perfectly. That is equivalve system. If one is smaller than the other and they would not close equally. So the hinge ligaments make sure that they close equally and it is compact. So near the uh, sorry at the anterior end of the hinge ligament on each side is a swelling called as umbo. So which is the oldest part of the shell and is first formed in a young animal. Below the umbo are concentric lines of growth, and these are the concentric lines of growth. So they are present on the shell valves. The shell valves are rounded anteriorly but somewhat pointed posteriorly here. The umbo is directed anteriorly, making it possible to determine the right and left valves of the animal. In most Pelecypoda, the two shell valves are similar and equal in size, but in some sessile families, like the next one which I am going to discuss, that is in oysters, the upper or left valve is larger than the right valve by which the animal is attached. If a shell valve is removed from the mantle lobe, its inner surface is seen, which shows marks of insertion of muscles running transversely between the two valves. So you find anteriorly adductor muscles and posteriorly a larger lump of muscle called as posterior adductor muscles. And you also find retractor muscles as well. So anterior and posterior muscles would allow the shells to close properly. The insertion of the edge of the mantle marks a pallial line as you see here. So this is the pallial line. Anteriorly, adductor muscles are present and above them are the retractor muscles. So adductor muscle, as I said, they would close the two valves, whereas the retractor muscles would help the in retraction of the foot. So this is about the shell of Unio, and our second shell is Austria shell. They also belong to class Bivalvia, or it's also called as Pelecypoda. And oysters are marine, sedentary and bivalved animals. They are generally whitish grey in outer shell color and their inside shell is usually porcelain white. The shells are usually oval or pear shaped but will vary widely in form depending on what they are attached to. And the shell is unequivalve. As I said earlier, the left valve is larger, thicker, convex shaped and permanently attached to the rock, whereas the right valve is smaller, thinner and flattened, forming a short lid. The surface of the shell, if you look at it, it is squash, irregular and ruffled. They have extremely strong adductor muscles to close their shells when threatened. Although there is only one adductor muscles, and that is why it is called monomyarian. Whereas the Unio had two muscles, anteriorly and posteriorly placed. And the in Austria, foot is totally absent, and although it is present in the larval stages, and since the foot is absent, there is no byssus thread or byssus pit as well. And Austria is consumed worldwide from prehistoric times as a delicacy. They are highly nutritious and rich in vitamins and minerals. And next slide talks about Cypria shells or cowrie shells. They belong to class Gastropoda. The shells of cowries are usually smooth and shiny, which in scientific term it's called as effulgent and more or less egg-shaped, oblong or nearly elliptical. The shell is univalve with a large, single and smooth and polished whorl. Though spirally coiled, the last whorl hides the spiral pattern. The shell is convoluted, oval above and flat below, as we see here in the posterior to anterior side here. On the ventral side it is flattened, on the dorsal side it is globe shaped. The round shape. The round side of the shell is called as the dorsal face, and the other side is called the ventral face, which shows long, narrow, slit-like opening called as the aperture, and which is often toothed at the edges. That is, both the inner and outer lips are ornamented with arrays of small teeth. The narrower end of the egg-shaped cowrie shell is the anterior end, and the broader end of the shell is called the posterior. The spire of the shell is not visible in the adult shell of the most species, but is visible in juveniles, which have different shape from the adults. So the spire is the tapering part of the dorsal side, which is not seen, which is inconspicuous or which is totally absent in case of cowrie shells. And our next slide talks about the shell pattern in murex. It is commonly called as shank or shanka and is used for producing worshipping sound. Murex seashells are famous for their fantastic variety of ornamentation and sculpture. Many are colorful, but the majority are rather plainly colored. Their beauty being in wonderful frondose spines, webbed wings, lacy frills, and knobbly whorls. And this is a marine gastropod. The shell surface has a number of spiny vertical folds, as we see in this picture, ridges, and very fine encircling lines here. Shell is spirally coiled with 3 or more rows of beautiful spines of different length. So there are spines of different lengths. Shell opening is round but continues below into a long canal. The aperture is large and round. Outer lip is thickened at its edge. Here the outer lip is thickened at its edge and armed with hollow folded spines. As the shell grows, another vertex is added here. There is a columnar callus reflected over the body of the whorl. The canal is broad, closed and bends backward. Peristome produced into long spout-like shell siphon, as we see in this picture. Visceral humper is spirally coiled and operculum is totally absent. And the next slide is a tusk shell, which is also called as dentalium shell or elephant tusk shell, and it belongs to class Scaphopoda, meaning shovel foot, a term that refers to the head of the animal, which lacks eyes and is used for burrowing in marine mud and sediments. The most distinctive features of scapopods is that the tubular shell is open at both the ends. As we see here, both the ends are open, and not just one end, and both the end in most of the mollusks. Dentalium shells are also called as tusk shells, as I said earlier, because their shells are external, conical, and slightly curved to the dorsal side, making the shells look like tiny. It is elongated and tapered. The narrower end has a small notch. Yeah. Other than a few growth rings, the shell is almost smooth. In older species, the shell has fine longitudinal lines, as we see in this picture. And next shell pattern is the Nautilus shell, one of the most beautiful shells found in the world. Nautilus is marine and cosmopolitan animal and is commonly called pearly nautilus, and it is found in deep coastal waters. The shell is spirally coiled and is divided into a large animal chamber and about 20 small chambers separated by semicircular partitions which are perforated by narrow tubular apertures through which pass the tubular prolongation of visceral mass called siphuncle. Inner surface of the shell is pearly. Internally, the shell is divided into many chambers by a series of septa. These are the chambers which are divided by septa. And septa are perforated and centrally bear septal necks, as you see here in this. Septal necks. The outermost largest chamber is the body chamber and encloses the entire body of the animal, whereas the remaining chambers are filled with air and give buoyancy to the shell. So because of the beautiful yellow and brown zebra-like stripes on the outer surface and because of a pearly inner surface, it is widely used for decoration purposes. And last shell of the class is Pila globosa shell or apple snail shell. The body of the pila is enclosed in a thick spirally coiled globular univalve and unilocular shell. So unlike Nautilus, which is multilocular, this is unilocular shell, that is a single shell, no septa in between. The shell has the form of an elongated cone coiled around a central axis in a spiral manner. A single revolution of the shell around the axis is called a whirl. A successive whirls below form a spire. The extreme top of the shell is called as the apex of the shell, which is regarded as the oldest part of the body, unlike umbo in case of unio. Starting from the apex, the other whorls, that is the penultimate whorl and the body whorl, that is this one and this one, are large so as to enclose the greater part of the body. The first whorl is the smallest and the last one is the largest. The whorls are demarcated by sutures, as you see here. Whorls are coiled around the central axis called as columella, and shell surface is marked with lines of growth called as varices. And these lines are called as varices. The last whorl contains a large aperture, this one, which can be closed by a lid called as operculum, which is attached to the posterior side of the foot. The operculum is a flat calcareous plate formed as a cuticular secretion of a group of cells from the foot. and the operculum has a lunate oblong outline which corresponds to the aperture of the shell. It shows numerous concentric ring of growth around a well-marked nucleus as we see here, and the smooth and continuous margin of the aperture is called as the peristome. Its outer margin is called as the outer lip, this one, while the inner one is next to the columella is the inner end or the columnar lip. Columella opens to the exterior through a narrow aperture, or it's also called as umbilicus. So this is about the shell patterns in mollusca. If you have any doubts or queries, you can leave it in the comment box, or you can reach me on my WhatsApp number, a personal number. Thank you very much.